a very social situation. That's what I enjoy about this big band thing. It's, you know, if I'm playing with another guy, you know, we have to use each other's ideas to create some music. And it's good, you know, it's like a team of writers, and you're happening at the same time, so you have to listen and have a conversation. And, you know, it's inspiring because if we're playing with Byron, or even just to hear him play right before you get to play some improvisations, very inspiring to try some things that you might have held back on. You know, it's a great situation of collaboration.
To think of a melody, that first note you hit and where that takes you. And I'd say that's about the only thing that's going on. It's hard to do that though, because you know, it's tricky. You're not always going to be like that, you know, on top of it, like just that free of a thinker every night.
When I stand up, I try to react to the moment. Talking to other jazz musicians, they always talk about the years and years of study, learning all the theory you can, but then at that moment you should really just let it become part of you. Forget about the technical stuff and just let that come out.
Jazz is pretty hard to define.
Jazz is kind of, it's an approach to making music, I would say. It's an approach based on improvisation. I think in its most sort of pared down, simplest form, jazz is taking a song, any song. It can be a 50s Broadway, 40s Broadway, it can be an Alanis Morissette song if you want. And taking that song and applying a jazz approach to it, which is just, let's change it a little bit, let's change the harmony, maybe change the melody, let's improvise on it.
Jazz, I think, improvisation, spontaneity, that's what it means to me. It's always being creative, right on the spot, and that's the energy that I'm always after, that feeling of almost being on the edge.
It's a pretty unique thing, because I think during, pretty much all during this century that it started forming and developing. And, it's been an amazing synthesis of very old roots, from different continents. and by the same token, it's taking a lot of different directions today and all over the world, not just on this continent.
If I try and introduce jazz concepts to children learning, that I would take a song that they're familiar with, and I always teach the song Hot Cross Buns for the first song, or Frere Jacques or something like that, you know, sort of a folk melody. And then basically I teach them to change it rhythmically and to try and do that with their own feel. So that's one element of it, rhythmically. Then to change it harmonically or something.
There's a certain segment of the jazz community, in fact, that no longer wants to call it jazz per se. They want to call it creative improvised music, because that perhaps is a better definition of it, or of a certain kind of jazz. You know, if what's creative and what isn't is debatable.
That's the fun part for me, is like, you know, sticking to that one rhythm, just while everyone else is grooving in it completely. You can't listen to certain parts of what's going on, because it'll throw you off. So you gotta sort of lock into. You gotta find who's your teammate in the band. You know, you gotta find out who's playing a complementary rhythm or a complementary melody, and lock in with them. And once you've locked in with them and you know it, then you can sort of. Even as a player, it takes quite a while to get used to what's going on.
Concrete level, you might be thinking about the chord or the rhythm. The thing that you really have to be thinking about playing is whatever the form or the groove or whatever it's made up of. Thinking is for practice time. You know, it's more kind of visceral reaction time.
I think it's important for people to try things, you know, for the sake of trying those things. You know, what happens if you do this or explore this? And sure, a lot of people aren't going to want to listen to it and be curious about it, but it does eventually work its way into everything else.